With Robbie Callister the day before his 53rd birthday at Malew Church, and Robbie, why you've won the parish walk 5 times now, second fastest on the course. Why do you want to carry on again?
I think it's a superb event. Obviously I've got to prove a little bit more by trying to win it a 6th time, but I just enjoy the whole atmosphere about it, the whole thing, the enthusiasm that's put into it by the organisers, by the people that take part in it. Just to go out and walk the event and see all the spectators that are out, the residents that come to the end of the garden and give you water and give you sweets and stuff like that, and the parties that are going on all night. It's just a great day out, really. And I think if I didn't do it, I'd miss it. I'd have to leave the island. I couldn't sort of stay here on Parish Walk Day. I'd have to go away. So
a 6th win would put you on a par with John Cannell.
Yeah, with great JC Cannell, yeah.
And if you didn't, from what you've just said, I think you were going to answer my next question. If you didn't win it this year, then it would make no difference to your attitude towards the following year.
Oh no, I'd come back and try to try to get the 6th, just to equal Mr. Cannell. But the last couple of years I spent trying to get 3 in a row, and I've always been pipped at the post on the 3rd one every time. So I've got to start it all over again. Now obviously I won last year, so I've got to see if I can do it again this year and then go for a 3rd one after that. So I still see myself doing the parish walk, barring any serious injuries, for another 3 or 4 years anyway at a competitive level. But then it would be nice to just go and maybe take it as a leisurely sort of stroll and maybe help some other people get round.
Well, that's really how you started off, wasn't it? I think when you first went in when you were about 18 or 19,
yeah.
And it was just a stroll to, well, Derby?
It was to Derby, yeah, when I was a fresh-faced teenager with the Castine Ale drinkers. Yeah, it was a tough walk to Derby, but even though I sort of packed it in at Derby that night and it was really dark, and then we followed Steve Garden around for the rest of the night, I always felt that it was an event that I could do quite well at. And I tried it again for a couple of years when I was a teenager, but you don't really have that burning ambition to go all the way around. So then left it, and then it was always something I knew that I was going to come back to, even with other sort of sports I've been involved with, and I knew that I was going to have to come back sometime. And
when you did come back and you completed the course for the first time, it was quite a bit slower than you're doing now. Did you ever foresee that you'd win it 5 times and that you'd be walking 15 hours for the course?
I don't know about 5 times, but the year I completed it, and it was 1845 I think I completed it, that year it was a silly year for me because I was the last one leaving the Villa Marina that year. I had to work my way through all the people. My backup didn't turn up when they should have turned up, so I was having to sponge food and water off other people who kept me going through the night. But when I finished, I sort of thought, well, I can go a stage further and I can probably try. Well, I felt I could win it, and that's what I set out to do the following year, and that was to obviously be organised properly, have proper backup, make sure I was on the start line, leaving the... did we leave the NSC that year? I think it was. That was the first year at the NSC, leaving the NSC. And that's where I had a definite game plan, and I stuck to it, and it all sort of panned out okay, yeah.
You've seen very much as the parish walk icon, and you're the guy from the south and everything, but you weren't actually brought up in the south.
No, I'm a Douglas putty.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm a Douglas lad, but...
Where were you born? Where you were born in Douglas?
Yeah, Douglas, but then I spent quite a lot of my youth up to about 11, we lived in Williston. And then we moved down, when I was 12 actually, we moved down to Castine here because my dad had to get a job. His job that he had at the time, he'd been made redundant from. So then he moved down to the Ronsway Aircraft Factory, which is just over our shoulder here. And so that meant relocating down to the south of the island, which is a big traumatic thing in them days. It's not so traumatic now, but yeah. So
were you herring around as a kid? Did you used to race the other kids around the back lanes of Williston? Did you sort of get that natural
well, I always used to spend my time running up and down to shops with Mum and Dad. The shops in Williston were probably about only a quarter of a mile away, but whenever I went to get anything, I never walked, I always ran there. Yeah. And I used to play football in the park quite a lot, and I was always itching to get to secondary school because of cross country, although I never really competed in any cross country or that, but I just felt that I wanted to have a go at it, and it wasn't. I had a year at Bellacamine where we done the cross country, and then moved down south here, but then we had foot and mouth, and it never really took off then for another couple of years.
So what sport did you do at secondary school at Castle
It was
Rushen?
football mainly. We played a lot of football. We had the best football teams then. Especially middle 11. Middle 11, senior 11, really good. So it was football.
What sort of, anybody that you played with at school level who represented the island or anything?
I think most of the lads did. Chris Kelly, Ian Quayle, there's quite a lot of them actually. Yeah, most of our senior 11 team, Chris Taggart was in there. Kenny Crellin was there in the days when I was there. Yeah, quite a lot of them played for the island actually. Yeah.
And when did you get involved in athletics? Because most people know you as a parish walker. I first knew you as a runner.
Yeah.
You did a lot of running, and probably even some people who see this video now probably don't realise that you've run a 2:28 marathon.
Yeah.
And so on. But how did you first start? Because it probably built up a bit there. You probably took you a year or two to get down to that sort of level.
Well, I played football for quite a bit. Then I got involved with motorcycling. Then it was 1985. It was Mike Ellion, who's a good friend, and still is a good friend and a good running partner. We both worked together for Manx Airlines, and Mike fancied doing the Dublin Marathon, and asked me did I fancy having a go at it myself. And we were always kept pretty fit because we were doing a bit of training for football and stuff like that. So then we decided to train for the marathon, and in '85 went off to do the Dublin Marathon. And
what time did you do in that?
Well, it was quite a poor one really. It was, I think my first one was 3 hours 11 minutes.
Were you ahead of Mike?
Yeah, well, I was ahead of Mike. Yeah. But I had a bit of a sort of a problem with my knee, mainly because I was using a pair of shoes that were about 2 years old, and they were sort of so worn on one side the way I ran, that it just put pressure on my knee. But once I sorted that out by buying a new pair of shoes, everything was okay, and I just kept on going from then.
How many marathons did it take you to get under 3 hours, say? How soon did you achieve that?
I'd done 85 was Dublin, and then what I wanted to do then was the London Marathon, and then at 86 I went away to at the beginning of 86 I went away to Glasgow and done the Glasgow Marathon, and done that in 2 hours 40, and that gave me qualifying time for London. So
that's a big improvement.
On the back of that, well, I always, it's the same with the marathon as well. I knew that I was quite capable of doing under 3 hours, but it just all went wrong on the day going to Dublin. So when I seriously put my mind to it and went off to Glasgow, 2 hours, it was 2 hours 40, 2 hours 39 I'd done, and it was 2 hours. The time then was 2:40. It's 2:45 now, I think, the qualifying time.
Yes, it was.
So it was 2:40. So I was a minute inside it, and then I went off to do the actual London Marathon. And I think when I done my first London Marathon, it was about 2:35 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many times did you run, say, under 2:40? Can you remember roughly?
I've probably been a good 10 times
yes.
under 2:40, 10 or 12 times actually.
And you won the Manx Marathon a number of times,
yeah.
which is never as fast as the big city marathons. It's usually quite hot,
yeah.
But you've run some pretty decent times in that.
I think I can't remember if it's 2:32 or 2:35 now. I think 2:35 is it?